I'm thinking of cutting off my best friend, because she can't stop bringing up my ex-girlfriend to my fiancée. My, 29 male, best friend Jess, 29 female, keeps on mentioning my ex, 29 female, in front of my fiancée, and I am thinking of cutting her off. I want to know if I am overreacting, or if Jess is in the wrong. For context, Jess and I went to the same high school and the same college. We were friends in high school. However, since we both went to the same out-of-state college, we became best friends since then. We have always been there for each other during the best and worst times. However, things have always been platonic, and she is more like a big sister to me, who made sure I stay on the right track. I have only been in 2 long-term relationships so far. One was with my ex Emily for 7 years. We met in college and dated all throughout our college years. Emily and Jess also became good friends too. After college, Emily and I just grew apart and had different goals in life. I became boring after college as I was working on my PhD while working a full-time job. Emily broke up with me as she wanted to party on weekends, while I was home studying. I was heartbroken, but I don't think I ever blamed her or had resentment towards her, as I understood my decisions were selfish and should not hold her back from having the best life. Jess always stood by me and comforted me during that time. Jess and Emily were good friends, and Jess always kept on telling me that Emily loves me and will be back one day when I am ready. I foolishly held on to that hope and stayed friends with Emily. That was until I met my fiancée Yang. After I finished my PhD, I got a nice job in a big tech company. Yang joined our team a year after me. We started going out for drinks and dinner, and we started dating seriously pretty soon. We are happy together, and financially in a great place. Needless to say, I stopped talking to Emily after I started dating Yang. I proposed to Yang a year after we started dating and got engaged last year. Jess has been acting weirdly since we got engaged. One of the first things she said to Yang after we got engaged was how I had planned the same thing for Emily, proposing on a local hiking trail. It was a bit off-putting that she was bringing up Emily, whom I broke up with almost 5 years ago, on such a happy occasion. However, Yang asked me to not spoil my mood, as she felt Jess was just commenting on how I had that plan in mind for years. Since then, every time we meet, Jess without fail brings up Emily and how the things I am doing are all the things I had planned with Emily. This happened when we bought a house, planned for vacations, etc. Jess always starts with some nostalgic story and then brings up how Emily and I were so happy together. She is still good friends with Emily and keeps giving me updates about Emily and how great Emily is doing at work when no one is asking for it. It felt like she was painting a rosy picture of Emily to Yang, and telling Yang that she would always be second to Emily. Yang told me Jess's comments bothered her, and I also felt the same. I have brought this up with Jess many times and asked her not to do it. However, she says she will try, but since I dated Emily for 7 years, she would be part of many stories from the past. Also, she asked me why talking about Emily bothers me and if I still have feelings for her. I have reduced hanging out with Jess. However, she is close with my mom and is always invited to all our family parties and holidays. I talked to my mom and sister about this and they feel I'm overreacting. They feel Jess is just telling stories, and since the stories are mostly from college days and later, Emily will be a character in the story. They also feel I should not be bothered by Jess mentioning Emily since we broke up a long time ago. I feel that it's disrespectful to Yang, as she doesn't need to hear about all the fun Emily and I had when we were together and how we were planning to get married. Is it just me, or is Jess truly acting out of line? Update 22 days later. The last month has been nothing but crazy and I'm still trying to make sense of what happened so far. After my post, I decided to talk to Jess and gave her an ultimatum not to speak about my ex Emily again. I know Jess and Emily are still friends, but I was uncomfortable of her comparing my fiancée Yang with Emily all the time. I broke up with Emily 5 years ago, and she is nothing but a faint memory in my past. Jess kept on defending herself and telling me that I was with Emily for most of my adult life and it's hard to tell any stories from the past without including her. She also blamed me for being emotionally childish and just forgetting about Emily when she was with me for 7 years. Finally, Jess agreed that she will not bring up Emily in front of Yang, and I should also not treat Emily as she does not exist since she is still Jess's friend. I informed Yang about our conversation. Although she was appreciative about it, she said I did not need to do it and she knows how much I love her, and every time Jess brings up my Emily, she feels sorry for Emily that she let a guy like me go. Yang went to visit China 2 weeks ago for a month as we plan to get married in her hometown. She is taking care of her shopping as well as preparations for the wedding. Jess invited me to her house that Friday for dinner as I was home alone. I am also good friends with her husband, and we were all just chatting and drinking in the living room. Around 7:30 p.m., the doorbell rang, and Jess excitedly went to open the door. To my surprise, it was Emily at the door. She was all dressed up as if she were ready for a date and came in. I had not seen her in person for almost 3 years and I was shocked to see her. She sat down and started making small talk with me. I was extremely uncomfortable and went into the kitchen to talk to Jess. I was angry at her and asked her what was going on. She kept on telling me that it's been 5 years since the breakup and to get over it and be nice to Emily. She said Emily was excited to meet me and she thought we were all adults and could have one fun evening together. We had a fight and I told her that she should not have invited Emily after our conversation the other day and I do not want to be friends with her anymore. I went into the living room and politely excused myself and told everyone that I had a work emergency and had to leave early. Emily looked sad, but I genuinely felt uncomfortable to be made to hang out with my ex without my consent. I came home and called Yang. I have never seen her more furious, and she told me she is not comfortable with Jess anymore as she has some agenda that we do not know about. It's different to talk about Emily, but to invite her without consulting is not okay. I also felt the same and I called Jess the next day and told her that she crossed a line, and I was terribly upset with her. I stopped taking her calls and ghosted her. I also told my mom and sister about the whole incident. Last Sunday, my mom called me for lunch. When I got there, I saw Jess was already there. I told my mom that I do not want to talk to Jess and can't stay. However, she asked me to sit as they all wanted to talk to me. I have a glutton for punishment and decided to hear them out. My mom started with how Jess has been there for me all these years and only has my best interest at heart. She kept on telling me that they are the three people, mom, sister, and Jess, that love me the most. Jess started saying how she felt that I was making a big mistake and not having to hear what Emily had to say. She told me that Emily was my first love and Emily is now ready to settle down and we can pick up where we left off. She reminded me how broken I was when Emily left me and how life is giving me a second chance. My sister also chimed in and said how they all liked Emily more than Yang and how we both looked so great together. Finally, my mom started saying how our culture was so different than Yang's culture, and it is hard for them to relate to her. I asked them in what way, and my mom said that they did not understand what Yang says sometimes and have nothing in common with her. Then my mom asked me to think about how Emily and I would have such wonderful looking kids, while if I marry Yang, our kids will look so different. I started getting their drift and I probed more. My mom told me how our kids would look Asian with small eyes and not like any others in the family. I asked my mom if she cared about my kids' looks more and not about how smart they will be since Yang has a PhD. She blew it off, and I realized she just did not want me to marry Yang because she was Chinese and not white. My mom told me to forgive Jess and my mom asked Jess to talk to Emily on my behalf and asked her if she would be interested in getting back together with me. My mom was adamant that since I loved Emily so much, I should be happy and pick up things where we left off as that is the best for everyone. I have never been so angry and may have said a lot of unkind things to all of them before I left. I am so depressed right now. I not only lost my best friend, but also am not sure how I can move on from what my mom said. My mom and sister raised me and that is the reason I'm where I am today. However, I cannot get over how racist they are being and how they were just pretending to like Yang all these years while actively working on breaking us up. I have been so shocked that I have not told any of this to Yang so far. I might wait for her to come back next week and talk to her in person. Again, thanks everyone for all your messages on the last post as they helped me a lot to think through the situation. My life is more messed up than I could imagine, and I cannot imagine how dejected Yang will feel after hearing all this.